ChatGPT has taken the AI world by storm recently. However, it can be quite slow at times and give somewhat stock answers about being a large language model. If only there was a way you could run a chatbot at home on your own computer with your own custom personalities. Yes, welcome to the text generation interface that has the goal of becoming the automatic 1111 of text generation. Just like it says on the screen here, it's a Gradio web interface for running large language models like GPT-J6b, OPT, Galactica, Llama and Pygmalion. And just look at all the features it has, such as easily switching between models, multiple modes, HTML and markup output, the ability to split models across the GPU, CPU, and even disk, extension support, and plus, it works in Google Colab too. Is it difficult to install though? Do you need a monster computer? No, thankfully enough, it's super easy. As you can see here, you've got two options. Option 1 is to simply copy and paste the commands shown there one by one into your Anaconda terminal, or option 2 is a one-click installer. I've downloaded both of the one-click installers, the one for Windows and the one for Linux there as well. Unzip them both so you can see what you get, which is basically an instructions.txt file, the one-click installer, a model downloader, and a script for running the server. If we open up the Windows instructions.txt file, you can see it's just 3 simple steps to get everything up and running. Number 1, run the one-click installer. Number 2, run the download script. And then number 3, start the web interface. If we take a look at that one-click installer for Windows, it shows us that this will indeed do everything for you. It starts off by asking you if you want to use your NVIDIA GPU, or if you don't have one, your CPU. It will then download and install MicroMamba, which is like a very small version of Anaconda, Git, and then set up that Conda environment for you. The Linux one does much the same, although of course Linux also supports the use of AMD GPUs. As you can see, this is basically everything from option 1, but you just run one command instead of those few. I went with option 1 myself, as I already have Anaconda installed and I don't want an extra microconda. I also want to be able to do things like see if it works with PyTorch too, or run whatever server options I want without having to edit a startup file each time. Copying and pasting those commands one at a time is super simple. There I am, I just open up my Anaconda terminal, paste the first one there, conda create, that will create a new environment called TextGen. You can of course give your environment any name you like. It'll run through that. Once it's done its thing, you copy and paste the next line, which happens to be exactly what it tells you to do on the screen there. So there we go, copy and paste, conda activate TextGen, just keep going, copying and pasting all the commands one by one. What option 1 does miss out, however, is installing the requirements for a couple of extensions, so I installed those as well. Basically here I've got my Anaconda environment, and I paste the extra lines there, pip install -r, extensions, Google Translate, and the other one, the one-click installer, automatically installs for you is that one, the Celero TTS. It's also worth noting that some of the other extensions also have requirements.txt files in there too. That means you'll need to install those requirements as well if you want to use that extension. For example, we scroll up here, let's have a look at the extensions, and we've got the first one there, character bias. That one hasn't got a requirements.txt file, but if you have a look at 11 Labs there, that one has got a requirement.txt file. So, whichever option you went with, whether it was option 1, copying and pasting the lines one by one, or running the one-click installer, it's now time to move on to step 2 and download a model, or 2, or 3. Personally, I've only downloaded a few models because there are loads, and some of them are quite big as well. I'll go into a little bit more detail on models in just a moment, but first, let's have a look at that download script. As you can see, all the download script does is activate your Conda environment and then run python download model.py. As I've already got my Conda environment activated already, I can just run that very same command now and get a nice download menu. For most people, I'd suggest going with OPT 1.3b to start with. It's 2.6 gig download and doesn't have very heavy hardware requirements. However, if you do have a completely potato computer, then maybe try option J first, which is much smaller. I've already downloaded a bunch, so I won't do this now, but once you do have a model or two, then you're ready to move on to step 3, which is starting the web interface. As we can see from the start script here, it just activates your environment like it did before for the download and then runs the server with a couple of default options. Now, with regards to these options, there are quite a few. Let's go back to the GitHub page and scroll down. Starting the web UI there, it has a whole load of options. Far too many to go through now, but I'll just go through some of the most important ones. The first thing to note is that it has various different modes, such as Notebook, Chat, and CAI Chat. Also, there's a load in 8-bit option, but this does need bits and bytes. Bits and bytes supports CUDA 10.2 to 12.0, so no AMD support there. It can work on MS Windows. If you scroll up a little bit here, in the original bit, it's got some notes on getting that working on Microsoft Windows, but it can be a little bit fiddly. Of course, it's perfectly supported on Linux. I did do a quick test with trying to recompile it with CUDA 12.1, but got an error on that, so make sure you have a compatible CUDA version, which you will do if you use that Conda install line there, PyTorch CUDA 11.7. Another option which can help performance is --no stream. That can help quite a lot in chat mode in particular. Of course, do take the time to read through all of those options to see if there's anything else in there that may be of interest to you. Just looking back at that start file, again the example here from the Windows zip file, you'll see there are a couple of options set there already, so if you do want to change the options and you're using this start file, then you can just put them in there exactly as shown. That default chat mode is, in my opinion, the best mode to start in, but let's have a quick look at some of the others first before we also dive into the extremely fun and nerdy stuff. If I start this in notebook mode without giving a specific model, it will ask me for one, so let's pick one there, number 4, OPT 1.3b. It will then go through, load this model, and give me the URL to the web interface, which you can just open in your web browser. So there it is, open link, and I get the web interface. In notebook mode, you just get this one large text box, and everything goes on in here. You can edit any of the text in this box, plus all of the text gets generated here too. So for example, if I just edit this template, I'm going to put the question why in there and click generate. There it goes. It will go through and give me some factual answers about why. If I click generate again, it will simply carry on from where it left off, or I could go back once it's finished and edit anything I like, such as taking that last one out. The next mode is one where you don't use any notebook or chat options, so sort of the default for server.py. This is almost the same as notebook, but in this case the input and output areas are split instead. Let's do a quick refresh there. So now you can see exactly the same thing. I've got the question over there, and this time if I do why and then click generate, we get the output over here. This also has the multiple output options there. So you've got Markdown, which, like it says there, is only applicable for Galactica models, but you can also have the output in HTML for models which support HTML as well. The first chat mode is a bit like a text message exchange and doesn't use avatars. So here I'm just starting it up in the normal chat mode. We'll select opt 1.3b again as well. And now, as you can see, we've got a completely different output. This time, if I say hi in the input box, then you'll get a message there. So as you can see, it's a bit like a sort of text message exchange, like a proper chat bot. This can get even better because it can add avatars as well. So let's start it up in that character AI style one. This time when I say hi, let's put the input there, press return, hi. It's got person 1, person 2, and they've got avatars. How awesome is that? Now, before I show you how interesting some of these conversations can get, let's nerd out a little bit on some of these options because there are a lot of them and they can look quite confusing the very first time. So let's scroll down and see all the different things that this can do. Like I said, there's a lot of things. There's lots of tabs. There's lots of buttons to press. Most of these buttons are mostly self-explanatory, apart from impersonate. Impersonate is basically a way to get the AI to talk to itself. So there it is. I'm impersonating being the AI. The AI there, it's just talking to itself. So you can click that all day and get some very strange conversations. And of course, you can butt in yourself at any time. Taking a look at the chat settings there, you've got the rather obvious your name and bot's name, so that's what you're going to call the two things. And there's a little bit of context that you can do as well, so you can give a sort of personality to the bot as well, if you like, or a situation that you're in. Now, one thing I've found with using this context is that sometimes it will work really, really well very, very quickly, and other times it will sort of work up to it in a really strange way. So it may seem like the context hasn't worked, but then after you've been chatting for a few minutes, it might switch to it. But it's fun. Anyway, that's definitely something that you should play with. So here I've changed the context a little bit. I've got person 1, that's me. I've got a bot in there, AirNet. And AirNet's persona is that it is an evil AI intent on destroying the universe in the most hilarious ways possible. If I scroll up a little bit, you can see my conversation that I started to have with it. AirNet blinks on. Yes, if you surround your text with stars, then you can make it grey and italic like that. So AirNet blinks on. Welcome, human. Hi, what are you up to? Oh, nothing. I'm just sitting here thinking about how stupid humans are. So it's not necessarily destroying the universe, but it has got the same sort of context that I was hoping for. Anyway, let's scroll down a little bit and see what other options we've got there. So characters, obviously I just loaded my AirNet character there. The chat history, you can upload and download. So if you really liked that particular conversation, you could click that. And there it creates a JSON file, which you can then download. And there is where you would upload that same file later on. So say you're having a great conversation, then you had to go and have dinner. You could click on that, shut down your computer, come back later, and then carry on your conversation. Or you could maybe share it with your friends as well. Here's my JSON file. I was having a conversation with an AI that was trying to destroy the universe. I ended up losing. Do you want to go? You've got an upload character tab there as well, and that allows an optional character image alongside its JSON file. If you take a quick look in the characters directory, it's got an example there. So example.png, that's the image for the example JSON file. And here we can see, if we take a look at this, that's got the example character name, persona, greeting, world scenario, all that sort of stuff in there. So you can also just edit it in plain JSON. The next tab, upload your profile picture, is fairly self-explanatory, just like I've got there. That's my person 1, that's me. You can just drag and drop or click to upload your avatar there. And the final tab at the bottom here is Upload Tavern AI Character Card. And here I'm actually going to a completely separate website. Links are down in the description or in the pinned comment. And here we have an AI character editor. So there you can load characters, edit, or create new ones. And with the chat settings done, let's also have a look at the generation settings, because there are loads in here as well. These settings will basically allow you to control how the conversation goes, whether you want it to be really wild and wacky or completely deterministic, so you have the same thing every time, and it's very sedate. The first option there, max new tokens, fairly self-explanatory. That's the maximum length of the tokens that you're going to get as a reply. 200 is absolutely loads, perfectly fine for chat, as is the maximum prompt size, 2048 there. I just keep that at maximum 2. Generation attempts, exactly like it says there. You can increase that to get longer replies. Model, this is obviously the model that you want to use. It's got a usual refresh button there, so if you've downloaded another model while you still had this running, you can just get that to appear by clicking that refresh button. As you can see, I've got a few downloaded there already, but that's a nice easy way to switch model, so you don't have to restart it each time and pick the model from that menu. As you can see, all the models have rather strange names, and you will get different results from each model, and the models also come in various shapes and sizes. You're going to have to check out the model card really for each model to be able to find a lot of useful information about it. So let's go back to this GitHub and we'll scroll up. So let's take a look at this GPT-J6B, for example. We open that, we go to the model card, and here we can see lots of information about GPT-J6B. Those are all the files, so that'll tell you there. It's quite big. That's a 24.2 gig file, so it is worth having a quick look at the model card before you download something, because you may be downloading a very large file indeed. This is quite a beast. Scrolling down through this model card, you can see the training data for it, so you can have a look at the pile. That gives you an idea about the sorts of information that it will know about, intended use and limitation. There it is. GPT-J learns an inner representation of the English language that can be used to extract features useful for downstream tasks. The model is best at what it was pre-trained for, however, which is generating text from a prompt. You've also got information on the limitations and biases there, lots of evaluation results, and all the models will have these different model cards. If we take a look at Galactica, for example, this is completely different here. The models are designed to perform scientific tasks. including, but not limited to, citation prediction, scientific Q&A, mathematical reasoning, summarization, document generation, and molecular property prediction, all sorts of things. So have a look at all these different models. They're all quite different. Some of them are general chat, some of them are more like this scientific, and others, well, let's not go into those ones. Just to give you a brief idea on what the hardware requirements would be, here is a quick table showing the peak RAM usage and GPU usage I got running this command and just loading those different models. And even within these models themselves, there are often options available. For example, having a look at this Facebook OPT one, there you can see models that go all the way up to, like, there's a 66B one, but then it also goes quite low as well. So there's like a 125M one. If we take a look at this and go over to the files, we see this one's really, really tiny. It's only about 250 meg. Given the amount and variety of models, I'm obviously not going to show you each one, but you do get the idea that there's lots and lots of options available to you. The next thing is the generation parameter presets. These are presets that can change the sort of output you'll get when your text is generated. You can see the values these presets change if you open up the custom generation parameters. There it is. Let's just click on that little arrow. So basically, when I change this preset, all of these will change. Let's take a look at debug deterministic, for example. There, the temperature is 1, top K is 50, top P is 1, and typical P is 1. Whereas if I go to verbose, you'll see they've all changed dramatically. It's also using a beam search, which increases the VRAM that you'll need. If you want a really nerdy technical breakdown of all these parameters, you can start by taking a look at this Hugging Face Transformers page. There it will tell you exactly what temperature and top P and top K are, but don't worry, you don't really have to understand all these options completely. In essence, the text is being generated by predicting the next token, and these parameters impact those predictions. If you think of it a little bit like a scale for predictions where the range goes from really, really good to really, this probably isn't what you want at all, then you can see how wacky your responses can be. If you want some really interesting text, I suggest putting the top K all the way up to maximum, top P all the way up to maximum, temperature up to 1.99, and that will probably do it. That way you should get some really weird results. And finally, right at the bottom there is soft prompt. This is a way to modify the style and behavior of your AI, a little bit like fine-tuning, as a sort of dream booth for text models, if you like. Unfortunately, no examples are provided, and the only ones I could find were for Pygmalion, which isn't really suitable to show here. And the last tab there for me just has the character gallery at the moment, but if I stop this and then launch with some different settings, let's stop that one, we'll put these settings in here. This time I'm launching with the extension there, Celero TTS. Let's just fire that up and select a model. We'll use the OPT 1.3B again. And now when I refresh up here, pop over here, go to the extensions, I've got Activate TTS and a whole range of TTS voices. So how about if I click Impersonate now and then click Generate? What's it going to do? Oh, it's generated an audio response instead of the text. So if I click play...
It was alright, just a little boring and not very interesting.
There we go. So you can get it to speak to you as well. That's quite fun, isn't it? Okay, so that's most of the basics covered. So let's dive into a little bit of a conversation to give you an idea of how much fun this thing really is. Okay, I'm going to deactivate that TTS for now because I prefer having the text on the screen. We're going to clear that history, confirm it. So we're going to start off a fresh conversation between me and AirNet. There is AirNet. Welcome, human, says AirNet. Okay, so here we are. I'm having a quick chat with AirNet, who is, of course, an evil AI intent on destroying the universe in the most hilarious ways possible. We're just having a general chat at the moment. I'm asking how AirNet is, and AirNet's wondering how I am as well. And apparently, AirNet has some things to take care of. First, should we ask him what sort of things those are? He needs my help with something. Oh, what is that? Exactly. Oh, a new project. What is the new project? I hope AirNet's going to tell us. It involves some kind of artificial intelligence. It's called Persona. I have a feeling that somehow AirNet is building up to perhaps taking over the universe and destroying everything. What is the purpose of Persona? To destroy humanity and make everyone forget about it. So there we go. That's an example of setting up a bot that is an evil AI and intent on destroying the universe in the most hilarious way possible. Obviously, you can set whatever context you think is going to be the most fun for you. And there you have it. It's free. You can download it now, and it is so much fun. Almost as much fun as this next Nerdy Rodent video.